like how cool mapping and putting on LED light board. There's some photos online too, but like, and then the other part I did 2 projections. One in like a lounge, and one like on this like bar room there for the Stadium show. And it was like,
go ahead and go.
Okay, guys, I think we're just about to get started here. If you guys are ready. Awesome. All right, so welcome out to Cake again, everyone. Thanks for coming. And my name's Graham. I'm going to be talking today on alternatives to financing. And it's kind of a big topic. Before we get started, though, I wanted to, just as always, kind of introduce Cake a little bit in general, and to say that Cake is donation-based, and we come out here to talk mainly about just scrappy, creative, low-cost ways to really immediately help your business, or if you're getting ready to start a business, to start your business. And as always, we don't really focus too much on venture capital-backed business or on finding a lot of money to start your business, which is why this week is kind of an interesting topic. And we will be delving a little bit into those things, but more we'll be talking into, I guess, more even bootstrapped ways to get money to start your business, whether it's finding money or whether it's starting small and generating profits so that you can kind of bootstrap it and fund yourself. Anyone want any last orders before?
What is that?
Sorry,
just the ingredients that are on it.
No meat. How about the no meat option?
You can do either no meat.
Okay, then Connie.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, it's perfect.
More dessert?
Okay, I think we're good. Thanks so much. Okay, so before we get into that, I guess I had a quote that really that I found online while I was doing some researching for finding financing that I thought kind of illustrated why Cake exists, and I guess I'll just read it. So it was, I was just reading up on like how to fund your business, and I ended up on a page that was talking about dangers of underfunding and overexpansion. This is a part that is talking about just dangers of a startup and overexpansion. It said, a leading cause of business failure, overexpansion often happens when business owners confuse success with how fast they can expand their business. A focus on slow and steady growth is optimum. Many a bankruptcy has been caused by rapidly expanding companies. At the same time, you do not want to repress growth. Once you have established a solid customer base and a good cash flow, let your success help you set the right measured pace. Which is like useless. Like, what is it telling me to do? I have no idea. It's like, don't make it fast, like slow and steady, but like, if you're growing fast, you better run with that, because like, that won't be around forever. And like, okay, so if expansion is warranted after careful review, research, and analysis, identify what and who you need to add in order for your business to grow. Then with the right systems and people in place, you can focus on the growth of your business, not on doing everything in it yourself. Which once again, like, identify what, let's see, after careful review, research, and analysis, whatever that means, identify what and who you need to add in order for your business to grow, and then with the right systems and people in place, you can focus on the growth. It's just like, oh my goodness, this is complete nonsense. And that's like the entire article. It's like everything that you read out there on how to start a business and what to be careful of is just like spewing things that sound right, and like if you're just glancing over it too, it sounds totally reasonable. Like, it'll never stop you like, oh yeah, totally. Just got some really good information from that. And you finish like, and you haven't gotten anything useful out of it. Anyway, that is why Cake exists, is to hopefully actually bring some cut and dry things that you can do immediately to actually help usefully improve your business. We are also totally donation based, so at the end or during one of the breaks, feel free to toss in a few bucks. It's great. It goes towards Cake, both literal and figurative. So, like I said, today we're going to be talking about financing your business, funding it really, I guess is a better way of saying it. So first of all, things that we're not going to be talking about, I kind of broke them into 4 categories. And you can see in the worksheet there's 3 of them. There's like an immediate, an as you go, and kind of an align with your cause category in there. Hey, Kiko. Hi. Yeah, just find a seat anywhere. So the one that's not included on there is loans and investment, which are always an option to go get bank loans and kind of seek more venture capital. It's not anything that I've done, and it's not really what Cake's about. So we're going to kind of gloss over that phase. There's also a lot that's been written up on it, and in a certain sense, getting loans and getting venture capital, although there is an art to it, is a very well-documented process. And there are certain things that you go through and certain things you put in your business plan, and it is really spelled out in different areas. So if you're interested in that, you can always go check it out. In addition to venture capital and bank loans, there's also like microloans that exist out there. There's micro SBA loans. There's micro. Mercy Corps has like pretty much like $500 or under in Portland, I believe. Burke was just telling me about this. Some interesting microloan systems. There's general SBA loans. SBA.gov is just a small business association, and they've actually been really trying to like up the number of small business loans they do ever since the bank stuff has gone kind of haywire. And then there's also angel investors and incubators. If you guys want to look into those, basically angel investors invest some small amount of money, but hopefully have a decent amount of experience in the field that you're going into and kind of like hold your hand through the process and are just kind of coming in to bring you through that first initial stage of getting your idea to fruition. This came about mainly in the tech startup, the tech boom, because businesses just became so much cheaper to start. You suddenly weren't building giant $1 million factories, and so you could throw $25,000 at a business and get a percentage of it and be, you know, this angel investor for someone who had an idea. Incubators, similar, but kind of more with a large group of people who are going to be helping you along. You usually apply to be parts of incubators, and they'll like house you and pay for a board for 6 months and have different experts come in and talk to you and kind of just once again hold your hand and guide you through the process. And the reason that we're not going to be talking too much about a lot of these things is because the further along you are in the business when you go to ask for any of these things, like the more developed your business is, the more that you have proof of concept, the easier it's going to be to get into an incubator or get an angel investor, the easier it's going to be to get a bank loan, or the easier it's going to be to get some kind of actual capital investment, which is the game that I end up playing with all of the businesses that I start. I'm like, okay, I'll just get it off the ground, and like then I'll go look for some investment once I've like proven this can be a concept, and you start getting it off the ground. You're like, oh well, like if I just go a little further, then I can actually start making some money and like get a better investment. And then you keep going with that, and pretty soon you just have like a fully functioning business, and you never took money. It's been kind of my experience with it, but maybe I'm just greedy. The overview of the other things that we will be covering, that was just kind of to give you a little bit of background on that stuff, so that if you want to go look it up on your own, you can. There's the practical immediate things, personal assets and credit cards, friends and family, or partnering with someone who has money. That's what I think that's what a lot of small businesses do, probably the majority of them. Building as you go, so kind of like shoestringing it along, getting some early profits, learning in the process, getting your early customers, and that's really what I recommend, as you know from Cake. Like we've done, 3 or 4 things that really kind of delve into how to do that. And you can go back and look at some of our worksheets on the website too for more information about kind of doing that early testing, getting early customers that much money. And we'll talk a little bit about it again for review today. Trade credit, just anything that has like a net 30, net 60 day kind of margin on it. You can kind of string those along with when you're getting supplies and when you have to pay back for them. Finding things for free on Craigslist or from friends or from people who are getting rid of them. Daily deal sites like Groupon, Living Social, Google Offers. We ended up stringing along our business at the beginning with upfront money from Groupon, but then we had to kind of make up over the course of the year as people came in for free. Resources for causes. If you can align yourself with an actual meaningful cause, then you can get a lot more money for that, because there's a lot of initiatives out there to help that. Kickstarter, not necessarily for a cause, but usually for a specific product or a specific project, I guess. And works really well with causes. I've seen it. Grants, same thing. Donations, events, or relatively unrelated activities. If you have a cause that you're supporting, you can kind of do anything and say that it's for that cause and raise money for it. Okay, so before we go into some details, I also found these facts in my digging, which I also thought was interesting for probably a different reason than they meant them to be. Which was the average cost of starting a new business in the United States in 2005 was $70,000 for starting up a new business, the average cost. With employees, 30% fail in the first 2 years and 50% in the first 5 years, and that's with employees. The numbers are way higher without employees because it's just more volatile. You're more likely to start one up with that much money without employees and fail. And then 79% of failed small businesses said that starting out with too little money was a major cause in a 2004 survey of small businesses. So we have people starting out with like $70,000 and like 50% of them failing within 5 years and saying that not having enough money was the root cause of that, which to me just seems insane. And there are businesses where you do need more money to start up, but it seems like if you kind of prove your concept and start building slowly and organically from the beginning, you're going to know a lot sooner than sinking $70,000 into an idea whether or not you're going the right direction. And you can kind of adjust really early on when your mistakes cost you like $50 and $100. So I'm going to start out with just saying some cake tips, like overall ones that I want to leave you with, that I don't address necessarily throughout this, and then we'll end with those too, just to kind of reiterate them. So these are just kind of random advice that I have found, either throughout research or just throughout personal experience. If you want money, ask for advice, and if you want advice, ask for money. It's just like, it's so true, it's ridiculous. And that's just kind of conventional wisdom, but if you go to someone asking for money, you will probably get advice. And if you go like asking for advice and you have a really good idea, they'll be like, oh, so you're looking for investors for that? Or the further you get and the more you can prove before you ask for money, the less you'll have to give away when you take it. Once again, it's that whole like build it, get it as far as you can before you want to take money, and then you're going to get a way better deal on what people invest. Dream big, but for God's sake, keep your initial budget small. Like, just don't. The easiest way to not have to take investment money is to not spend it in the first place. Use free trials of software. Find creative solutions to like your biggest early cost drains. Like, embrace low budget jankiness. Like I think when we launched the float space, like the first day that we had it open, we had a giant rubber flap for the door for room 1. Like the first person who went to float just like passed through the rubber flap, and we're like, all right, like this way through the rubber flap, and he was like totally chill about it, just like went in there and floated. And it's like, we've come a very long way since then, but it's like sometimes you just like have to save money in like really absurd ways. The last one is just the closer you get to like this specifically and right now, the more you're going to have to pay for it. So the longer you can wait and the more you can make do with things that aren't like something exact, the more money that you'll save. And that also is just something I've always found to be true. And a lot of people, I think, going out and looking for investment, and the reason that we want to take on loans or investment is because we have an idea and like we want to get out of our job right now, and like we want to start something up like right this moment, and we know exactly what we want to do. It's just going to cost this much money, but it is in that case going to cost that much money. And building slowly is a way to save some of that. Okay, so let's see what time it is really quick. Okay. First, we're going to start with the really quick ones. So personal assets, credit cards, pay with your current job, and kind of like do your dream job in the background. All good. I think paying with your current job and using like successive income to slowly build your own business that you're working on now is probably the most sane of those. Selling off your belongings or like incurring huge credit card debt can work, but is really risky. But there are people who've done it. Google, for example, started on credit cards. Clerks, the movies, the movie Clerks was just funded totally on Kevin Smith's credit cards. There's lots of stories. You can just go look it up. If you look up like lists of businesses started with credit cards, you can actually find quite a few. Just get ones that get good bonuses if you do it that way. Like there's lots of perks you can get from opening lines of credit and from spending a lot of money on credit cards, so you might as well. Okay, that was a quick one. Friends, family, partners, which I subtitled just why people are nervous, basically. Because like you can ask your friends and family and people for money, but it's going to be awkward if you fail because you'll have taken money from your friends, and like they know that, so they're nervous about that. And like at best you have like a hypothesis that you think is going to be great and make you a lot of money, but you don't have money now. So it's like the proof that you've done anything like that before is a little iffy. So you need people to wait. Sorry, that didn't make any sense. Okay, so you need to convince them that like you're worth helping out, basically. There's interesting ways to do that too. Like other than getting investment in money, you can get investment in time. And lots of people just want to be a part of something too. Like getting them to believe in what you're doing is a huge part of it. Like we just consistently held when we were building our the float space. We told like, tear down your wall parties and just like buy a bunch of beer and invite our friends to come over with sledgehammers and like tear down our drywall, or like tear up our floor, or like help just sand down massive amounts of walls, or like, yeah, and people like totally just did it and came and like put on safety goggles and drank beer and tore down our walls, and it was great. And it was way more fun for us too. But yeah, it's like we definitely did not pay them, I guess, except in beer. So yeah. How to make people not nervous? So you need to make them believe in what you're doing, I find. I mean, that's like the easiest way to do it, and that's not always just in a money sense. And that's the same goes for if you're actually looking for loans or investment or anything like that. Like, just getting people to believe in what you're doing is a huge part of it. And you may think that, but like, I don't know, just don't overlook it, and we won't spend too much time on that one. What we will spend time on is take your hypotheses and prove them. Like, that's the easiest way to get money or to get anything, whether it be from Kickstarter, whether it be from grants, whether it be from loans, friends and family, like anything. Just actually setting what you think you can do and what's going to happen with your business, and then putting that into action and surpassing what you thought was going to happen, like within timeline, and then just having that data to show to people is how you end up getting loans and how you end up getting investment. Like once again, the further along you can take it, the better. Use your basic selling skills, and if you don't have selling skills, we're going to cover that in one coming up in the next few weeks. And honestly, like, just like get a selling book, like a book on selling for dummies. I actually have Selling for Dummies in my like business book library right now. It's the only book on like really like basic selling stuff that I have, and there's like a lot of really detailed stuff, but you'll hear the same advice everywhere. So just like take out the stuff that you think is sleazy, and like keep the stuff that just the structure of it, and just like read any book on selling really, and you'll get the gist of it. Other than that, you just have to sell a lot of stuff to figure out how to do it. Basic hypotheses. So even like it gets even simpler than testing like actual like we're going to sell 50 of this if I do this thing. Like other basic hypotheses you might not be thinking about is you know what you're doing. You'll be able to get customers in general. You'll be able to keep customers. You know how to run books. You know how to keep everything legally in order. You can roll with punches. The business will be able to expand in certain ways. The business will be able to expand at certain times. The economy will get better. You'll be able to bring on more investment in the future. Your business will continue to grow. You'll make a certain amount of money within so many months. It'll only take you a certain amount of time to get it up and running. There's a lot of assumptions that you're throwing into just telling people that you're starting a business or that you have an idea that you're taking for granted, that you've actually gone through. Like, you do have a plan for these things, but other people don't know that you have a plan for these things, that you can do it, or that you are a competent human being, or that the economy will get better because of these things, or just has to, or your business will work, which is not what you should tell people. Never tell people that. That's great. Sure, Graham, you may say. I'll make hypotheses. I'll test them. I'll show people what I can do. Like, what does that mean? I put down a little active gram method on here. That's the hypothesis testing method. And then there's a passive gram method on this sheet as well. So the active gram method, I'll go through really quick. This is like my shorthand for how basically to get anything you want in the world. And one's passive and short, and one takes longer and more work. So the active gram method, we'll start with that because that's the long one. Basically, the idea is you have all these things you have to prove, and a lot of them just involve showing that you can do stuff, like showing that you are actually a competent human being and that you know what's going on and that what you say is legit. So you need to make a plan. Like, this doesn't mean a business plan necessarily, because business plans project out like 5-10 years. Business plans are really unwieldy. Like, your plan should be something that you plan to get done in the next like 2 weeks and month and 3 months. Like, here are the things that I'm going to do. Like, I'm going to do these things. It doesn't even need to be like anything big. Just like, hey, I'm going to contact some printers and decide on one. Like, and then I'll have that printer picked out. Like, I'm going to, like, let's just use a t-shirt company example because that's a really simple one. Like, I'm going to have 3 t-shirt design ideas and have them tested by, one of our, like we talked about earlier, Kate doing the iron-on t-shirt, put it up at Saturday Market, see what designs people want to buy even though you don't have them in stock, and use that to test the idea. Like, I'm going to run that test. Just really concrete things. And then make estimates and goals for the plan. So say, like, hey, I think that if I do this and put up the shirt at the Saturday Market, 10 people at least will come up and want to buy a shirt. And that's like my starting point. And then from there, I think that if I choose the right design and go with that one and stand from there, that in the next 2 weeks I can build it up to 20 people at Saturday Market that want to buy a shirt. And if I can do that, and the more you like actually get down to concrete numbers and really just realistic things, not like, by plan I don't mean, down the road I'm gonna like pull on $50,000 worth of investment, then I'll be able to like expand by these machines, and like I'll, not like huge dream goals. Like I'd say set goals that cost less than like $50 to $100 to get off the ground, even if it's just like, I will find the perfect location for what I want to start up. Or I will get people to sign up on a mailing list and have 100 people signed up for this mailing list of people who want to come to my new nightclub once I start up, even though I have no way of like getting it started now. Like you can still go to people and say like, look, I have this list of people who's going to be mailed every week, and like who's down for that. Share this plan with the people you want something from, whether it's time, whether it's money, whether it's whatever it is. Talk to them, invite them out to lunch if they're your friends, like as personal as you can get. If they're total strangers, if it's an investment firm, email them, give them a call, check up with them. The fabled nachos.
Anybody hungry?
Mountain and nachos.
You have to eat all of those now.
I'm sure it is. Yes, it is.
Sorry. Thank you.
Okay. Is this good? Am I breezing through this stuff too fast? Once again, there's a lot of stuff to cover, so I'm trying not to dwell too long on it. Okay. So sure, like make a list. I'd say like on here I put down, I think it was 7 people. Yeah, 7 is a pretty good number. I mean, the higher you can get there, like I wouldn't say less than 7 as far as looking for anything in general is a good idea. Upwards of like 15 to 20 is great if you can have that many people you want to contact for money that you think you can raise, or for time that they can help you out with, or for whatever it is. And send out an update, like figure out what you want from them and what you want to offer them, and then why you think that's fair, and then send it to them initially with your plan. Talk to them about it, tell them what you're passionate about, like, share that passion again. And then after 1 month, send out another update, like here's where I am, like here's where I said I'd be in a month, and here's where I am. And you should always set your plan so that you can beat them. And if you're not beating your plan after a month, and if you're not beating your plan after 3 months, like maybe there's a reason people didn't want to invest in you, and like maybe they made the right call, and maybe you should like spend a little more time working on that and being able to meet your goals. Same with the 3-month mark, same with the 6-month mark, 9 months, 12 months. When you get out past 3 months, my usual strategy for this is to switch up my plan. So I have like specific goals for 1 month and 3 months, and then general goals for the 6 months and a year, and kind of be like, this is sort of what I hope to be doing in 6 months and where I hope it's going, or this is sort of what I think might happen in a year. And after 3 months, I'll go back and say like, well, this is what I thought would happen in 6 months, but now I see that it's going to go in this direction, so I'm changing my. And I personally don't usually plan out longer than 3 months in advance, like at the max. Mostly I try to keep things in like a 2-week planning zone of like what I actually try to get done. Just because I'm not disciplined enough to like know how much I'm going to be able to get done on any time period longer than that. Like it just doesn't work that way. Show that you're hitting all the progress points and passing them. Show how their involvement would only speed things along and make this like progress that's up to this process that's already working go even better, and how they can benefit from getting involved now. So basically say like, hey, look at how well this is going, like, don't you want on board? Like, it's the gravy train, come on. Who doesn't want on the gravy train? Make it harder to say no than it is to say yes. And when they say no, ask them why. Like, just say like, what's still going on? Like, why don't you want to invest in this? Or like, what would make you happier investing is really a better way to phrase that if you go through the selling for dummies. And when they tell you, like, fix it. And the next time you go back, make it better and make it more likely they'll actually invest and be like, hey, I know you had this concern before, like, see how I totally stomped on it? Isn't that great? Don't you want to give me money now? And once again, like, this works easier and easier, like, the closer you get to you. So friends and family, stuff like that, your own money really is where it should start with. Like, your own money is going to be the easiest to get, and then friends and family, and then outwards from there. And that's why you have things like really elaborate, crazy financial business plans, is because when you get far enough to where you have no connection to the person, they want some hardcore evidence that you're actually a competent human being, and that's why we're not going to deal with it. Like Guy Kawasaki said, it's, investing is something like getting venture capital is something you do at the end of your career, not the beginning of your career. You have to start small. Okay, active growth method. Did I break that down okay?
You said Guy Kawasaki, that's the guy who was with Apple?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. He was the Apple chief evangelist back in the day.
Was that, I remember seeing that on your Cake website, and I kind of interpreted that as more like, for your retirement, you're going to be a venture capitalist because you know industry and what's good to invest in. So that's what I was thinking you would saying, but I don't know if it was a little bit.
I think it's kind of both. It's like taking venture capital when you're young. It's like you don't know what you're doing. Like you're just as likely to explode as you are to do anything good. Yeah.
Well, oftentimes they're investing for their benefit, so they're looking for the vulnerable and the ones that are like not knowing what's going on, so they can take advantage of it and take a larger chunk of your company than you should give up.
Not all of them. There are some of you venture capitalists out there who are good.
And if you're going to invest in Cake, my phone number is 5.
Okay, the passive gram method is way simpler. I've actually mentioned this at another one. Just one time anyone asks about your life or you see anyone, tell them what it is that you happen to be looking for at that moment. And that's amazingly efficient at finding things. Like if you just, every single interaction you have, people are like, how's it going? You're like, oh, really good. I'm just like looking to raise some money for this business that I'm starting. Like every single one throughout the day, like eventually you just start having more leads, or like people at least know you're looking for something, put the word out. Like that's how I found every single apartment in college, by the way. It was just with that method. Okay, so let's see, how are we doing on the timeline?
We lost internet connection just now. So.
Uh-oh. Okay, well, great. This will be a dead spot. Yeah. Okay, now that they're gone. All right, so we're going to talk about the build as you go right now, and then we're going to get a little bit into the causes. And we won't talk too much about the causes. That'll probably be a subject for another time, mainly to let you know that they're out there. And I might have you, Josh Fitz, just give a few quick pointers on grants when we get around to it. And I'll talk just a tiny bit about Kickstarter. So build as you go. And this is, once again, as you can imagine, is really what Cake is a huge fan of doing. Getting your audience first, selling other people's stuff, selling services that you do yourself, finding your first customer, finding your future customers, starting really small, going from there. We talked about these a lot during the market research one, which once again, feel free to go back and check out our handout for the market research Cake, and it talks a lot about getting that early audience. Basically, the idea is, once again, like there are ways to get your idea, whatever it is, down to, if nothing else, a newsletter. Like you can always make a blog or a newsletter, and it doesn't cost you anything to write or to send things electronically, and that lets you find your audience first. You can always go and have conversations and say like, would you like to get a letter on this? And if they don't want to get a letter on it, they're probably not going to want to buy it from you either. Like, you can always go down to that as the basic level, and then you can take that to the next level of investment, like where you need to get like $200 from your roommate in order to like buy something for a project and say, look, I already have a list of 150 people who are interested in this. Can you just give me $200 so I can go buy like some t-shirts? It sounds silly, but it's true. Like starting really small and then scaling up is really the way to go. Trade credit, risky, but it's where it works if you can actually string things along by net 30, net 60 kind of payment options for them. It's also something that'll pop up more as you go along. You just kind of have to take advantage of it, unless you really go out looking for it, and that's the only way you can make it work. Like if you just have to order a ton of fabric for some crazy amount of things that you're making, you can probably find a big fabric supplier who's willing to do that, but then you're on the line for that amount of money, and usually you're going to get net 30 and net 60 deals when you're doing really big orders and spending a lot of money on it. So it's mainly something that comes up occasionally when you're dealing with suppliers that you can really take advantage of, unless something in my experience that you go out looking for, and like this is what you base your business model on, is like you can kind of cut the cash flow gap there. Daily deals, once again, this worked out actually really well for us with the running Groupon when we first started up. And that ended up giving us about 20 grand of extra startup capital when we were first getting going, which was absolutely just for us like essential to getting the shop running, getting our door instead of a rubber flat for the last one. No, we had a door. It's just the hinges went the wrong way, so I opened it the other way. Things to know about that, I guess. It does give you money up front to work with. Whenever they expire, you will have a huge influx of people. Depending on the market, you have between 30 to 50% of people who won't cash in their Groupons, which is interesting. More around the 30 range, usually, for people who just will not cash in their Groupons at all. So that's all money just kind of in your pocket, which is really nice. some of them string it along on different terms. So Groupon, for example, pays you 3 installments over the course of several months. They may have changed this since we did it. Living Social pays you 2 payments? I think it was one big one, and they pay you 15 days after you run the Living Social. Google Offers pays you one large payment really close to when they run the offer. That's 70% of it, and then a 30% one a little later, like a few weeks after that. So depending on how quick you need the money, Google Offers is kind of the quickest, Living Social, and Groupon is the third fastest, but all of that's negotiable. If you do want to negotiate a deal with them, get as close to 75-25 as you can with percentage of the split. They'll start with a 50-50 by default. And 75-25, we only got that for, we got one of them negotiated down to that point. And 70-30, from what I understand, just reading online, is a good one to try and aim for as far as what they're willing to go with. If you do go with daily deals things to pitch along your idea. Free things. Friends, when they're just having yard sales and getting rid of stuff. Craigslist. Once again, the further away you get from now, and I want this specifically, the better. So free things are actually a really nice thing over the course of years. Just passively keep an eye on and control when it looks good. We gave away 2 Brominators for free on Craigslist, for example. If you've been watching, you've got 2 Brominators right now.
Just things that inject bromine.
It's really not helpful unless you own a floating place. Okay. Let's cover we'll cover the resources for causes, go over the cake tips one more time, and then we're taking a break and going into the workshop section, because I think this will actually be a really fun one to workshop. Resources for causes. I'll talk about Kickstarter first, and then we'll toss it to Josh Fitz for just a little bit about grants, which I've never applied for personally myself, and then on to some donations and events. So, Kickstarter. Thanks to, is it Damien? Is that his name?
Damien, yes.
Yeah. From Be Local Honey, who did a nice interview with us. In preparation for the Kickstarter. I also have a couple other friends who had successfully run Kickstarter campaigns that I talked to. Nothing on the really grand scale. Several $1,000s, more like 5 to 10 or 15,000. But things up to near $1 million and past that have been run as well on Kickstarter, which is crazy. You just have, it's kind of like anything else. You really have to have your own propulsion going behind it. So. Okay, I'm just going to kind of go through a quick to-do list on this, and you can keep this in the back of your head for Kickstarter. Kickstarter, by the way, is a site, if you don't know what it is, where you can go and fund projects and causes and different things like that. Mainly, you can think of it as a project funding site. So I found one on today for an old video game called Wasteland. That was the precursor to some other video guy. And so they're making a Wasteland 2, and the guy's funding it all through Kickstarter. There's another one where they're closing down a bunch of national parks down in California, and there's a documentary crew going to the first 70 of those parks that are being demolished to document them before they get cut down. They're just taking a giant renovated bus and a film crew around and filming all of those, which is a really cool thing. But it'll take money, and so they're funding the entire thing through Kickstarter, and then friends and just people who go there can find the projects and donate to ones that they like. And then there's reward systems. So you set different tiers of rewards. So if someone donates $10, they get a postcard of one of the places. Or maybe not a postcard, it's maybe a $5 thing or something like that. If they donate $15, they get a DVD that they're making of the documentary. If they get so-and-so, they get to appear on the documentary. If, all things like that. You can just set your own related events. So it's actually a really intelligent model. And basically it's exactly how you should be raising money for yourself anyway. But what they had is credibility. You're not just going to go around to all your friends and be like, hey, give me $10 and I swear I'm going to do this project. Going through somehow an externally validated source lends you a little bit more cred when you're going for getting money from people. But largely, it is started and ended with you. You will have to do the promoting for it. It's probably going to be people that donating 90% of the money. They're basically providing a platform for you to go and raise money. Expect to do the work. Don't just expect to throw something up on Kickstarter and have it magically funded. That will never, ever, ever, ever happen. Maybe it'll happen. I won't say never. I never say never. Okay, so the advice that I've gotten from my friends in no particular order is to research other projects and Kickstarter in general. There's a lot out there that you can read about best practices. Put together a package that looks good, but not too put together, not too slick. This is it's for people who have ideas that they want to make real. It's not for big businesses to go in and take advantage of. So it shouldn't look like you had an entire marketing team poring over this and spending ridiculous hours on it. Make a good video. They feature videos a lot in their Kickstarter things. Just make a good one. A lot of people have a professional camera crew come on board. A lot of people just have friends who know how to film things come and help them out. Plan a good time to launch. Don't rush into it. Make sure things are in place. Make sure it's a good time. Make sure that you think that it's not right around tax season, for example, which is a terrible time to try and get money for anything, by the way. It's right before taxes. If you've ever gone around door to door trying to raise money for anything, oh my goodness, yeah. Use social media. Reach out to the press. As long as you're launching a Kickstarter thing, it should also serve as a nice venue for you to get the word out about your business. Like, if you're going to go this route for raising money, then go the route. Like, promote your Kickstarter campaign, promote your business at the same time, and just go full out, do a media blitz. Don't annoy people about it at the same time, though. Like, if you're sending people an email every single day, letting them know, or every single week up to your deadline of Kickstarter, letting all your friends know, okay, this is the last week to give me some money for this project. I really need it. It's getting really close. You're not going to have that many friends anymore. It's not. People don't like that. Find other allies through the site. The guy from the local honey was saying that while he was running, he found another Kickstarter out there for someone else who ran a local honey company, and she was running it. So he ended up holding off on launching his until after hers had finished. But he sent her a message and ended up pledging for her project, and then she pledged for his when it ran, and now they're just actually friends. They communicate and go back and forth and network about bees, which is awesome. And just in general, even if you don't use Kickstarter, it's also a good place to go out and find what projects people are doing and what people are interested in, and is actually a great way because you can immediately donate to their project on a $10 scale and make a friend in some field that you're actually tied into with your business too. It's a great way to find people. Be prepared. Let's see. It's like other funding. The further along you are, the easier it is to get. So I suggest putting your money in both at the beginning and the end. It's kind of like a tip jar, like pepper the jar, and don't discourage that. I just my friend, for instance, went through some of his friends and was like, hey, are you guys going to donate money? And they're like, yeah, totally, we'll donate some. He's like, okay, I'm going to launch it in a week. Can you just all donate the same day? That was how he got some initial money in there. And then at the end, the same thing. He had friends who knew were going to donate, and he's like, "Hey, wait off until the very end to donate, just so I can make sure." And then he had a couple $100 that he was willing to toss in himself if it really didn't reach that final push, just to make sure. Because if you get up to $200 away from your goal on Kickstarter and you don't make it, all the money just goes back to everyone else. Because it's either you make it and you get the money, or you didn't raise funding, so you don't have enough to do the project, so it just gets returned. Which is also the vote of assurance for
donating too high.
Exactly, yeah. Setting your price intelligently was another one. Donating too high, donating too low. You just kind of feel it out, what you think you can get. Also, it doesn't cut it off, so if you raise more than your limit, then you just raise more than your limit and you keep getting money. Something to keep in mind. That was pretty much my advice on the Kickstarter front. Go look into it if you haven't. It's also just a really fun site to browse around, and if you have a little extra money, it's a really great way to get kind of cool knickknacks, cool CDs, cool anything as gifts for supporting really good causes that people just want to put into the world as well. And a really intelligently run company. They do great marketing and totally support their business model as well. Also started really small, which is awesome. And ended up raising a lot of money as a result. Grants. Josh Fitz, you feel like saying a few words on grants?
Yeah. Unlike Kickstarter, I think grants are a little different, really effective. You're going into their network and achieving something that they want you to achieve based on their cause.
Do you think you can maybe stand in the corner?
Yeah, Josh Fitz, can you just go stand in the corner? Do you want to come stand in here?
Against the wall?
No, I just moved it.
I don't know how to. Okay.
Here, why don't you sit here and you'll be in.
Perfect. Okay.
Camera.
Excellent.
Yeah, I'm on TV.
Okay, you can even.
You're internet famous now.
I'm not. Yeah, and I was just saying, on Kickstarter, one of the people that works in our organization, Patrick, he had gone to them. They were really supportive, kind of giving you some insight and helpful hints and stuff like that, which isn't always the case with a grant. So far, I've gotten about two solid and one semi-solid grant for different things I've worked on. And they're usually grants are community-based or government-based or educational-based, and so you can kind of find yourself in those territories. And as far as businesses go, it may not be a way to get like a lot of money for your business, but it's a way to put your business like out there so that people can see that, and larger government agencies can see that, or the community as a large whole can see that, or if you're like focused on some level of educational organizations can see that. I'd say the main things to focus on for a grant are a solid, proposal, solid package of what you're wanting to create. So being very much detailed about everything. So research. Research other people that have gotten the grant similar to what you wanted to get. Research their networks and how they've built themselves up, so they have like credibility. So the other thing is on grants is the biggest thing I think is proposals, and then your budget in that proposal. So detailing everything you need for that particular grant, so that you have everything cost-wise covered. So you're not like, oh well, then there's this gap of things that you need that you don't have the money for that. They're not going to want to fund it because they're going to be like, well, you need that money, right? Well, where's that going to come from? And you're like, well, what if I just do this? And they're like, no, you need to be able to like document that. So that's why like they want to see your entire budget. So that's again going back into research. And what I've found really works is to connect directly with the organization. So if you find somebody who's in that organization, whoever it is, doesn't matter, just talk to them and just find out kind of what they're looking for, what they're expecting from you as a possible grantee, somebody you gets the money. Prove you can do it before you've done it. Prove you can do it based on the fact that you have confidence in your focus. You have like a proof of concept, or that you've done something similar and you can show results of something similar. And that way, like you're documenting your results. So having a way to showcase something that you've done in the past, something you've done that is again similar.
So kind of a like same thing, like the further along you can get it before you actually like go to look for the money, almost, like, or the more you can have done something in the past that really ties into, you're like, hey look, I did this before, I can do it again, like look, you can see exactly what it is, the easier it is to...
I think exactly that has been what's made me successful in this thing, is as far as getting grants, is being able to say I've done it before, and at this scale, so being able to like make it a larger scale thing, because sometimes within your smaller community of like 50 to 100 people, they're interested in what you're doing, but then if you want to like make that a scale of like 1,000 people, you can't afford that, but through a grant, that can help you get into that other realm. And the other thing is focus on like one subject or one grant company at a time. It used to be where you kind of just like, apply for different grants, similar style grants, and you'd be more successful. And now, based on newer information and things I've read about, it's because there's less money, the more scrutinizing about who they want to provide a grant for. You want to almost like be their best friend through the whole thing. Just know everything about the company and really be interested. Ask them if you can have time just to sit there and walk into their offices and learn about what they're all about. So that's like a beneficial thing for them, is that they know you. They can point a face to the person running a paperwork about what they're looking for. And a lot of them, I have a whole bunch of different grant applications that people have gone through, and they're all really generic. So you want to like make your paperwork spiced up in some way, something interesting, something captivating, something that gets them to really enjoy you as a skillful person, individual, whatever you're doing. And of course, you want to support the cause or whatever the grant is focused on. You want to be very supportive of that in different ways, and if you can show that, that would give them the confidence. So knowledgeable about that information as well. I think overall that's what I've gotten down to, and right now I'm actually doing a public speaking engagement at a college for spring term, and they're providing me a grant to be able to go in there and just talk about newer technology. So the fact that I know about it just made it easy, so I didn't have to try. So that's another thing that's kind of useful, is that if you are really knowledgeable about something, there may be grants out there. You may not even know about them, but they may just exist. And so like if your business is in a certain genre, look for grants based on that and see if you can just get some extra financing capital for that particular field and focus. And yeah, there's lots of availability for these things. You just have to know what you're talking about.
I've got a question. It's probably pretty big enough to probably have a whole cake session. Cost-benefit analysis is something that I constantly run into. And when you're applying for a grant, how to sort of demonstrate that cost-benefit analysis is definitely going to be a little bit different than a business plan. Can you maybe speak to that a little bit?
I'd say what is good about it is that if you can show there's a sustainability to the thing that you're creating, or that it has a focus and awareness that relates to the community as a whole, that's a benefit. A good example would be the Zoo Bombers created that weird big giant mural, or not, it was like a sculpture with a tiny gold bicycle on top of it, and it relates specifically to they got that through the RAC, Regional Arts and Culture Council. I had a hard time remembering it's a RAC. Being knowledgeable their acronym too. But that relates to Portland too as a whole, based on the fact it's like this golden tiny little bicycle at the top of this giant statue. It's on Burnside and 10th, and that in itself is a benefit to the city and the community of the city, but also the Zoo Bombers and their culture as it stands. So it may not be a financial return, but there's a benefit on a long-standing basis that it's a piece of art. It's part of the city, and they help develop that part of the city.
So it kind of seems like the benefit you're really wanting to tailor to who you're writing the grant to, and it's because if they're going to put their name and money on it, they want to know that they're going to be known for this and so on and so forth.
Yeah, absolutely. I think RAC's a large scale example of that, where they want to be known for what they're providing money for. They want their name somehow attached to that. And there's tons of organizations out there that are more, they sit in the background and they just provide grants to build up people to get somewhere they want to go.
Okay. Yeah, I think we're gonna.
Okay. Yeah, well, that's.
Unless you have anything else.
Oh, they really had any questions? I can definitely give you some more direct insight.
Honestly, cost-benefit analysis is a really big topic. It's very valuable for entrepreneurs, but I'm sure we can really get into any of that some other time.
Oh yeah, totally. No, that's a good question too. We can talk about it between break too. Yeah, I think it is a pretty big difference. The last thing I wanted to say on getting money, and thanks Josh Fitz too for talking up on the grant thing too, because I really know very little about grants. I guess I got a research grant once. I didn't even someone just told me to apply for it, my grad teacher, and I did, and I got it. It was I guess when your teacher tells you to apply for something, do it. That's what I can tell you. Okay, so donations for causes, events, rallies, speaking events, dinners. A jogathon, Shakespeareathon, a floatathon. I really want to throw a floatathon. Be creative, throw whatever events you want to. We want to team up with fibromyalgia and probably do some events to generate extra money and awareness just about fibromyalgia and fighting it. And in our case, float tanks are amazing for fibromyalgia and helping with it. And so ours is probably going to be centered around raising money to get people in float tanks, and getting float tanks for fibromyalgia clinics and stuff like that. So we get to tie it in even more. But that's a great way. It's hey, wow, I really wish we could have float tanks in fibromyalgia clinics. And you want to raise money for it. Throwing an event, people do have money and they want to throw it not just towards you and a business and make back money, which some people do. A lot of people actually do just want to throw it to a good cause, or a lot of people have a grandmother who has fibromyalgia, or a lot of people have fibromyalgia. Or whatever the cause is that you're associating with. They sound hokey. It really does work. You really can do that. Last tips, again, if you want money, ask for advice, and if you want advice, ask for money. The further you get, the more you can prove, the more you get from asking money. Wow, that was a really weird way to say that. Get as far as you can before you ask for money, because you'll get a better deal on it. That's what I wanted to say. Keep your budget small. Find creative solutions to your problems early on. The closer you get to this and now, the more expensive it's going to be. And yeah, have fun with the entire thing. You know, it's not all about money, and you really can start way smaller than you think you can, even if you have like a giant dream. You really can bring it down to, at the very least, even a mailing list and start proving it from there. And I think like once you start doing that, you realize there's all kinds of different directions you can start going from there, just ways to kind of like work yourself up a little maze to get more and more until you are there and you have a business, and it was the one you wanted from the beginning. So thanks, and hopefully this is helpful. I know that it didn't deal with a lot of, like I said, venture capital, bank loans, micro loans even, but hopefully this gave you a few ideas for other ways that you can actually fund one of your ideas. And we'll come back in just a little bit, like 5-7 minutes, and do the workshop section. And in the meantime, if you guys feel like tossing in any money to donate for cake today, that would be amazing. Thanks so much, guys.